Selamat datang di live streaming perdana aku hari ini. Aku ucapkan selamat datang buat kalian yang nonton live maupun yang nonton replay. So oh my god, ini chatnya lupa aku pindahkan. Oh my god, wait kawan-kawan, sorry. Sebentar kawan, oh my god, aku lupa memindahkan chatku. By the way, kita akan pindahkan dulu chatnya biar masuk ya kawan-kawan ya. I'm so sorry. Oke. Hai. Yang baru join, welcome kawan-kawan. So jadi seperti yang aku udah janjikan kepada kalian semua kawan. Kalau hari ini kita akan mencoba untuk mereaksi teori dari game Dandysworld yang banyak disembunyikan dari para fans. Yang mungkin guys, kalau banyak yang tahu teori ini, mungkin kalian akan membenci game Dandysworld dan tidak akan pernah untuk memainkannya lagi. So anyway, jadi videonya itu dibuat oleh channel YouTube yang bernama The Game Teori. Dia adalah channel YouTube yang suka bikin teori-teori tentang game gitu guys. Dan salah satunya ada video tentang Dandysworld yang dia buat kemarin kawan, sekitar 2 hari yang lalu. Dan ini tuh udah mendapatkan view cukup banyak, yaitu 461.000. Wow, what a great views. Sangat-sangat besar guys viewsnya, yang itu artinya sangat banyak sekali para fans game Dandysworld yang kepo dengan rahasia yang ada di game Dandysworld. So, kawan-kawan, sebelum kita masuk dan membahas teori tentang video ini, alangkah lebih baiknya buat kalian beri like dulu di video live streaming ini supaya aku lebih semangat lagi untuk buat video kayak gini lebih banyak. Hai. Nggak tahu mau komen apa lagi. I love Cherry, thank you. Nggak apa-apa guys. It's time to sit and see what we got in this video. Waktunya untuk duduk dan siapkan cemilan kalian dan kita tonton apa rahasia yang akan terungkap dari video yang berdurasi 19 menit 37 detik ini kawan. By the way, aku juga belum pernah nonton guys. So kita akan tonton bersama-sama untuk pertama kalinya. Let's go. Oke guys, nih aku pasin dulu. Oke, wait guys. Oke, coba.
Dandysworld lied to me. What appeared to
Oh my
me to
God.
be an apologetic tune trying to make amends for the mess he'd made was
Wait guys, oke. Sebentar kawan-kawan ya. Mungkin aku harus sedikit kecilkan layarku apa gimana nih guys. Pokoknya kalian dengerin aja lah ya kawan-kawan ya. Let's go. Gak sabar kak, aku dari Malaysia. Thank you yang dari Malaysia. Jangan lupa beri like kawan-kawan. So sebentar guys, enaknya gimana ya filter aku nih? Apakah aku harus pakai green screen aja? Atau gini aja deh guys. Oke dah, kita mari nonton ya. Apakah suaranya aman kawan? Coba kita tes.
Dandysworld lied to me. What appeared to me to be an apologetic
Aman ya. Oke guys, kita ulangin. 1, 2, 3, let's go.
Dandysworld lied to me. What appeared to me to be an apologetic tune trying to make amends for the mess he'd made was really a cover-up for the deep pain and suffering that he and his former creators were causing behind the scenes.
Wow, rahasia apa itu kawan? Katanya ada rahasia yang ditutupi oleh Dandy, Delilah, dan juga Arthur Walton, yaitu developer dari game dari Kindergarten guys, yang nggak banyak fansnya tahu ya.
Hello Internet! Welcome to Game Theory, the show that's about to burst with black goo if you don't subscribe.
Whoa!
Okay, that was weird. I'm telling you, black goo can do some weird things to you.
Cairan
We've
Icor.
seen it across many indie horror franchises, but it's never been more true than it has for the Roblox game Dandysworld.
Oke guys, jadi seperti yang kita tahu ya kawan-kawan, kalau game Dandysworld itu terkenal dengan cairan Icor, yang mana ternyata nggak cuma ditemukan oleh Nggak cuma ditemukan di game Dandysworld, tapi juga ditemukan dari game lain seperti The Doors and everything yang menggunakan cairan ichor yang kita sebut sebagai darah dewa atau ichor, oke?
Survival game about an abandoned museum and TV studio called the Garden View Center. Created by two young visionaries, Arthur and Delilah, in
Oke, dibuat oleh
1984, they
Arthur
were able
dan
to create
Delilah.
living, breathing cartoon characters through the power of a mysterious black goo called ichor.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, this very substance is also what causes the toons to turn into their evil counterparts, called...
Oke guys, jadi intinya dua orang ini Delilah dan juga Arthur Walton, dia yang membuat toon menggunakan cairan hitam yang membuat mereka bisa bernapas kawan-kawan, dan yang sekarang menjadi pertanyaan adalah bagaimana mereka bisa merubah toon yang normal menjadi twisted alias monster.
The Twisteds, larger, more deadly versions oozing with the black substance. The first instance occurred in 2002, labeled as the malfunction incident, and since then, the facility has been shut down, leaving Dandy and all of his toon friends abandoned, locked away in the facility. Last time, we theorized that our lead character, Dandy, was the one responsible for the incident.
Oke guys, dan tiba-tiba ada kejadian yang bisa kita bilang itu adalah insiden kesalahan ya, yang menyebabkan para Toon-Toons itu harus dikurung dan kindergarten itu harus ditutup kawan-kawan, something like that, oke? Dan kita banyak menduga kalau itu yang disebabkan oleh Dandy botak.
He was the first to turn into a Twisted and is now trying to
Karena
make
dia yang
amends
pertama
by
kali berubah
reviving his
menjadi
friends
Twisted,
with
guys.
ichor in order to bring the show back. Only
Oh
for
my
it to
God.
go wrong and turn all of the toons into Twisteds. But it's been a whole year since that theory, and since then, Dandy's World has been chugging
dia udah
along,
pernah buat
adding
video
more
teori
updates,
tentang
more
Dandy's World
characters,
1 tahun yang
and
lalu.
of course, more lore. And all of these new updates have shown us a lot more about what's really going on with the toons in the Garden View Center. That this isn't the story of one regretful toon's attempt to make things right, but instead carry on in the narrow-minded footsteps of his creators. So hop in the elevator with me, theorists, as we begin extracting the mysterious dark lore of Dandy's World. One of the first updates that was added to Dandy's World was a video that is running on a CRT in the new warehouse floor. First off, who's got time to look at TV screens when trying to escape monsters? Me, that's who, because that's where the story is being told. The video is of Delilah.
Oke guys, jadi video yang ditemukan pertama dari teori game Dandysworld adalah rekaman ini kawan-kawan ya, dimana Delilah sepertinya pertama kalinya menciptakan Dandy, dan ya mereka masih belum dibuat untuk kontes atau pertunjukan Garden View guys, tapi mereka masih di dalam rumah ini ya.
Talking to the main man himself, Dandy. She's asking about Dandy's breathing issues, and Dandy expresses his loneliness. To
Ya,
which
dia
Arthur
tanya
reveals
bagaimana
they brought to life his
pernapasannya
pet rock,
Dandy.
Pebble, and that more friends are coming soon. But during that section, Arthur says Pebble is just like the show. Before this, our understanding was that the TV show began airing after the tunes were made. The early
What? Bentar. Adalah bahwa acara TV tersebut dimulai ditayangkan setelah lagu-lagu yang dibuat. Oke guys, jadi sebelum ada TV show yang benar-benar TV show ya, itu pertamanya lagu-lagunya yang diciptakan dulu ya, something like that.
The show was 1990, but this tape is
Aku
recorded in
siapin
August
jeruk
of
dong, oke.
1987.
Boleh guys, siap
You combine
jeruk
that
ya,
with all
dan
the
snack
posters
ya.
on the wall and the opening date for the Garden View Center of 1984, and suddenly it becomes clear that the Garden View Center wasn't a TV studio like we first theorized.
What? Oke guys, sebentar kita ulangin dulu ya kawan-kawan ya dari sini ya. Ini orang nih ngomongnya cepet banget kawan, aku jadi bingung ya. Bentar guys. Kita ulangin sebentar, boleh nggak kawan-kawan? Kita ulangin sebentar dari yang sini. Oke, teori itu muncul dan sejak saat itu Dandysworld terus berjalan menambah lebih banyak teori. Oke, teori pertama.
Updates, more characters, and of course, more lore. And all of these new updates have shown us a lot more about what's really going on with the toons in the
Oke, jadi sebenarnya apa sih yang terjadi dengan Toon-Toon yang ada di Garden View Center?
Garden View Center. That this isn't the story of one regretful toon's attempt to make things right, but instead carry on in the narrow-minded footsteps of his creator.
Teori ini nggak cuma membawa tentang teori gelap dari Dandy atau sebuah toon yang menyesal karena semua ini kan terjadi karena Dandy botak ya kawan-kawan, tapi juga teori gelap dari penciptanya sendiri yaitu Arthur dan juga Delilah.
So, hop in the elevator with me, theorists, as we begin extracting the mysterious dark lore of Dandy's World. One of the first updates that was added to Dandy's World was a video that is running on a CRT in the new warehouse floor. First off, who's got time to look at TV screens when trying to escape monsters? Me, that's who, because that's where the story is being told. The video is of Delilah talking to the main man himself, Dandy. She's asking about Dandy's breathing issues, and Dandy expresses his loneliness, to which Arthur reveals they brought to life his pet rock, Pebble, and that more friends are coming soon. But during that section, Arthur says Pebble is just like the show. Before this, our understanding was that the TV show began airing after the tunes were made. The earliest date we had for the show was 1990, but this tape is recorded in August of 1987. You combine that with all the posters on the wall and the opening date for the Garden View Center of 1984,
jadi gimana guys?
Issues. And Dandy expresses his loneliness, to which Arthur
ini
reveals
kan rekaman di
they brought to life
tahun
his pet rock, Pebble,
1987.
and more friends are coming soon. But during that section, Arthur says Pebble is just like the show. Before this, our understanding was that the TV show began airing after the tunes were made. The earliest date we had for the show was 1990, but this tape is recorded in August of 1987.
What? Oh my god. Jadi, what? Jadi, oh my god. Okay, guys.
Combine that with all the posters on the wall and the opening date for the Garden View Center of 1984, and suddenly it becomes clear that the Garden View Center wasn't a TV studio like we first theorized.
Jadi, Garden View Center itu sebenarnya bukan studio TV yang kita kira awalnya ya. Oke, karena tanggalnya berbeda.
For the show, using the storyboards of
Melainkan
episodes
sebuah
as
museum.
memorabilia to display. The other reason I thought this was a studio was because the Toons seem to remember everything that happened to them in the show as if they were real events. Those recollections obviously haven't changed, but if Dandy and Pebble were brought to life in 1987, like the show, it would appear that these characters weren't
Dihidupkan para karakter 1987, oh my god. Jadi dihidupkan kembali apa gimana nih? Kak besok mau ikut pro run, insya Allah ya kalau bisa ya. Kak Lita nggak bisa add friend karena udah penuh guys.
Theorized. It was just a museum for the show, using the storyboards of episodes as memorabilia to display. The other reason I thought this was a studio was because the Toons seem to remember everything that happened to them in the show as if they were real events.
Yes, guys. Oh my god. Semua tun itu pada ingat ya apa yang mereka lakukan pada saat studio itu di
1987, like the show, it would appear that these characters.
Oke guys, jadi kalau kita lihat poster dari game Dandy's World itu kan mereka kayak di tahun 2001, 2002, oke. Dan mereka itu dihidupkannya tuh jauh sebelum itu kawan-kawan, seperti tahun 1987.
Weren't originally brought to life to be actors, but to be physical representations of those characters. They were even made to watch the shows to essentially become these characters and take on their memories as their.
Alamak iklan. TV gue aneh, kenapa TV-nya aneh kawan?
Their own. So that's one mystery. Very quickly solved, but let's be honest, we're here for the new mysteries that are coming out. And from this point on, update after update dropped with new tunes introduced each time. For the Easter update, a new floor was added along with some seasonal tunes like Eggs and the Egg, Flight the Butterfly, Coco the Chocolate Rabbit, and Bassie the Easter Basket. But these characters aren't just up to their eyeballs in iCore, they are also filled with sweet, sweet lore. Just looking at how these characters interact with other tunes, you get a pretty clear idea of their personalities and that there may be some discourse between fellow Toons. A lot of Bassie's interactions show that she is very insecure. When talking to Bobette, the
Oke, ini
Christmas
cerita
tune, she
tentang
says,
keinsecurean Bassie ya.
Holiday main?
Last I checked, yup.
Last you checked? Like, we could be replaced?
What? No, I meant it as a silly little comment.
You're so funny.
Bassie feels like she could be replaced at any minute. A lot of her interactions are similar, unsure, timid statements. That is, except for when she talks to her fellow seasonal toon, Coco. When interacting with her, Bassie is a lot more standoffish.
Coco.
Oh, Bassie. How are you, my friend?
Fine.
That's great to hear. Were you needing any help?
No, Not from you.
What is Bassie's deal? Based on the other interactions, everyone seems to love Coco, but Bassie acts totally cold towards her. Although, if you explore the Easter floor a little more, the relationship between Bassie and Coco starts to make a lot more sense. A room in the back is covered in ichor. Writing on the wall says, "Get her!" And then there's a note in a puddle of ichor. The note is from Delilah, the creator of the toons, and it says, "I don't think she should be the main class toon. She's too reliant on the fellowship of toons she's close with. She is dependent, not an independent. Reconsider."
Guys,
Sounds a
kita
lot like
nonton
our
dulu
nervous
ya.
wicker basket Bassie,
Biar
right?
aku
She was being
pahami dulu,
recommended
guys.
by Delilah to not become a
Kalian bisa
main.
baca
And
teksnya
let's be
yang
real. If
di bawah
Bassie
itu.
is not going to be made the main Easter toon, they were going to give that title to a more likable toon, like Coco. And when we look at Bassie's twisted description, you can see that is exactly what happened. One of the holiday main characters of Dandy's world, the fear of never living up to others' expectations has caused her to act out in desperation. She knew that Coco was getting the bump to main toon over her, no matter how hard she tried. So when Bassie read this letter, her emotions overwhelmed her, and she became a Twisted. We already know that the Twisteds are a result of the toons being overwhelmed with ichor, the stuff that gave them life. But the clues we get about Bassie tell us that it's a specific moment that triggers this twisted transformation. This idea was then followed up in the next seasonal update, the Halloween update, where we are once again introduced to a bunch of seasonal toons, with the main
Gordy!
toon being Gordy
Halloween!
the Pumpkin, a younger toon with a lot of energy. But when looking through the Halloween floor, we learn Gordy has a lot of deep anguish and pain. One of the walls has a big hole broken through it, and inside is Gordy's room. On the wall are drawings covered in ichor and writing that reads, "Why can't I remember their faces?" Looking closely at the drawings, there's a pumpkin holding the hands of two bigger figures. Gordy is also noted as being a younger toon, so these figures are likely his parents. Is he
Orang
struggling to
tuanya.
remember them because they were never in the show and so weren't part of his memory installation process? Or is this happening after the place has shut down? And without a show to constantly remind himself, he's forgetting crucial parts of his backstory. Either way, it leads to Gordy becoming obsessed. He tells us how he begs Astro to make him have the same dream, but Astro refuses.
I used to ask Astro for the same dream every night when we got to see each other on season, but he told me I can't ask for specific dreams anymore. He said it got concerning. Like, what? No way. The two of them, they were there. They felt so familiar.
Gordy becomes more troubled with knowing who these people are, and it all derives from his fear of being alone. If you enter Gordy's room as Gordy, he will say,
I shouldn't stay here much longer.
Seeing all these photos and the emptiness of his room is beginning to unsettle Gordy. And this fear of loneliness is made even clearer when interacting with Twisted Gordy. Unlike most Twisted Gordy
Gordy
has dialogue as he transforms into different stages. He starts out calm, looking normal but with red eyes. But when Gordy goes full berserk, he says,
Mama, Papa, help! What's happening?
and if you leave, he shouts,
Mama,
Where are you
Papa.
going? Stay with me, please. Wait, don't leave.
Gordy is terrified of being alone, and the fact he can't remember his family is starting to get to him. Just like Bassie, we are seeing the trigger that pushes Gordy to become taken over by ichor and transform into a Twisted. And that theme keeps being brought up for every seasonal event. Dandy's World already had a Christmas update the previous year, and it was at that
Masalahnya
point that
sama
we
ya
met
guys ya,
Bobette,
setiap
the
tun holiday
Christmas main,
itu
as well as
selalu
the other
punya
Christmas tunes.
masa
We
lalu
found
yang
notes around that time
menyeramkan,
between
yang
the founders,
menyedihkan,
Arthur and
yang
Delilah,
membuat
where
mereka
Arthur
menjadi
was concerned that the Christmas tunes were just sitting in the
Twisted.
corner of their rooms when it wasn't Christmas. But Delilah reassures Arthur that it's normal for them because having them interact outside of Christmas was just a waste of resources. Arthur seems deeply concerned for the well-being of the tunes, whereas Delilah is treating them like props that can just be stowed away when Christmas is over.
Yeah.
But in the 2025 Christmas update, we get to dive
Arthur Walton itu memperlakukan para tun itu seperti keluarga, seperti anaknya sendiri. Tapi kalau Delilah itu lebih ngerasa kayak mereka itu properti yang bisa digunakan untuk menghasilkan uang. Something like that, guys. Pokoknya
But
beda
in the
ya.
2025 Christmas update, we get to dive a little deeper into our Christmas main Bobette, and we see that it's not just Delilah that's mistreating her. On the seasonal floor, there is a CRT playing more CCTV footage, and it's a conversation between Bobette and Arthur in 2001.
You did so well with the last meet and greet session. Really festive. It makes me think, what if we can give out twice as many gifts this year. Imagine all the children's happy faces.
Twice as many? But who's gonna make all those presents?
Well, you, of course. Unless you don't think you can.
No,
Tentu saja
I can
kamu.
most definitely make all of the presents.
We then see Bobette sitting alone in a chair as hours pass, and then she gets up and gets on with her duties. This interaction sheds a brand new light onto Arthur. Until now, we've seen that Delilah is the calculated one who treats them like objects, but Arthur was kind of the visionary who deeply cared
Yeah.
about the toons. Your joy is my joy, remember? But here, it's clear that Arthur doesn't care about Bobette at all. He decides she needs to make twice as many presents, and when
Yes.
she questions him, he challenges her and manipulates her.
Yes.
Knowing Bobette's primary function is to make presents and make kids happy, he
Guys, kalau kita bilang Arthur itu kan yang sayang sama Tuntun, tapi buktinya di kasus Bobette ini si Arthurnya itu nggak sayang sama si Bobette gitu loh guys. Dia bahkan kayak memaksa Bobette untuk menghasilkan hadiah 2 kali lebih banyak daripada biasanya di event Christmas kemarin. So ya, jadi sebenarnya si Arthur nih baik atau enggak?
knows she won't refuse. Arthur is mistreating Toons just as much as Delilah, and it's this mistreatment that causes Bobette to crack. In Bobette's room on the seasonal floor, we begin to see an all too familiar theme. Ichor is everywhere, and there is a note on the floor, this time written by Bobette, letting out her frustrations.
Every time Christmas returns, it feels as if there is less time to spend it with my friends. I hate to be any trouble. After all, I'm perfect for my role. I've been perfect at it for years. Despite that all, despite it being my season, I have this feeling that I'm not appreciated enough.
Bentar
And I
kak,
don't
suara
like it.
Arthur
Can
Walton
Delilah
mirip
fix it?
sama
Is
suara
it
Zack
part of
di
me?
film.
Can someone fix it?
Really?
Please, please.
This is what pushes Bobette to literally break, becoming a twisted and covering her workshop in Ichor because once again, Delilah and Arthur have pushed them to their limits. But something in Bobette's note caught my attention. When Bobette is struggling to find joy in making presents, which is literally her purpose as a toon, she asks if Delilah could fix it. As in, could Delilah remove this feeling she's having? What's interesting about this is it's this very emotion, an emotion that is out of character for her, that pushes her to become a twisted. It shows us that these toons have more emotions than just what their characters are supposed to have. TV cartoons are written to be certain archetypes, a simple personality
Really?
that is easy for children to grab onto
Jadi
and understand.
Tuntun itu
They don't
secara
need to
berjalannya
be
waktu
complex
mereka juga
characters
punya
with depth
perasaan
and strong
sendiri
motivations,
kawan-kawan.
because that nuance is tough for kids to grasp in a short 10-minute episode. When Delilah creates the toons, she and Arthur want them to be just like the show, one-dimensional characters sticking to their defined traits. But clearly, they didn't account for the fact that making toons real would mean their emotions become more complex. They would have different emotions, much like real people. But by pigeonholing them, trying to force them to fit these molds of their cartoon counterparts, it's causing the toons to snap. Bassie is supposed to be a kind and helpful toon, but when she becomes jealous of Coco, she turns. Gordy is meant to be a young, happy toon, but when he starts to feel loneliness, he is overcome. Bobette is meant to be a joy-giving, present-making toon, but when she wants more than that, to spend time with her friends, she too breaks. Another toon, Shelley, is usually happy-go-lucky, but her handler reveals to us that she's insecure.
I assure you, the other tunes
Terlihat
do care about
menyeramkan.
you. Please
Wait,
keep
guys,
cheering
nanti akan aku
everyone
bahas
on
ya.
for me until I get back.
And even TV head V is worried about being upgraded by Delilah, worrying that she won't be her anymore, that she's more than just her programming. Very philosophical for a talking TV, but it's all to emphasize that these toons are more than just their cartoon versions. They are breaking away from their character traits, becoming more human. However, when Delilah and Arthur try to push them back down into their box, they can't take the pressure and explode. But there is one more new toon that exemplifies this more than anyone. Back in
Siapa
August,
itu?
Dandy's World introduced to us a
Dial!
new toon named Dial.
Oh my God,
a walking,
Dial.
talking pocket watch with a very important purpose in the Garden View Center. Dial operates the trains coming in and out of Garden View and can be found at the shop front opposite Dandy, pulling levers, controlling the trains.
Oke guys, jadi intinya ya aku stop dulu ya. Jadi guys, dari penjelasannya game Theorists ini tadi, mereka itu bilang katanya Delilah dan Arthur Walton alias pencipta para toons itu nggak pernah memprediksi kalau sebenarnya toon-toon tersebut itu tuh punya perasaan ya. Kan awalnya mereka itu dibikin seperti karakter Toon biasa, karakter ya seperti hewan lah, intinya seperti hewan guys. Anggap aja mereka ini seperti hewan. Dianggap mereka berdua itu Toon ini tuh bodoh. Sesuai dengan tugasnya, tidak akan memberontak, tidak akan punya perasaan berlebihan. Tapi ternyata mereka berdua salah guys. Ternyata para Toons yang mereka ciptakan sendiri itu semakin lama itu semakin mempunyai emosional alias perasaan. Jadi yang awalnya mereka itu seperti hewan yang nggak peka gitu kawan-kawan ya. Tapi lama-lama mereka itu mulai sensitif. Seperti ya Toon Holiday, ada Bobette, ada Gordy, ada Bassie yang mereka tuh ternyata diam-diam punya perasaan yang berkembang lebih mirip dengan manusia kawan-kawan. Nah, Delilah dan Arthur tuh nggak pernah memprediksi kalau itu akan terjadi. So, ya itulah sebabnya guys beberapa Toon menjadi twisted karena mereka merasa terdesak ya. Maksudnya mereka punya emosi guys, bukan kayak hewan lagi ya. Hewan mah kalau dikurung 1000 tahun aja yang penting dikasih makan kan tetap hidup ya kadang kawan-kawan ya. Tapi kalau manusia kan kayak nggak mungkin sampai 10 tahun, mungkin sehari atau 7 hari udah mati ya kalau dikurung cuma dikasih makan doang. Nah jadi guys, tanpa mereka sadari ternyata Toon ini tuh berubah mempunyai perasaan dan mirip dengan manusia. Itulah yang menjadikan Toon tersebut pecah menjadi twisted guys, karena banyak tekanan ya kan.
However, when Delilah and Arthur try to push them back down into their box, they can't take the pressure and explode. But there is one more new tune that exemplifies this more than anyone.
Dan ada satu Toon yang menggambarkan lebih jelas teori ini daripada Toon lainnya. Tadi kan dicontohkan ada Holiday Toon ya guys ya. Nah sekarang ada yang namanya Dial yang katanya lebih mirip dan lebih jelas lagi guys kalau apa teori ini tuh benar gitu ya kan.
Back in August, Dandy's World introduced to us a new tune named Dial, a walking, talking pocket watch with a very important purpose in the Garden View Center. Dial operates the trains coming in
yang
and out of
mengoperasikan kereta
Garden
api
View and
keluar
can be
dan
found
masuk.
at the shop front opposite Dandy, pulling levers, controlling the trains, and selling you skins of other tunes.
Yeah.
The fact that he has a permanent shop front means much like Dandy, he must be important. And if you gossip to Dandy about Dial, he will tell you.
It's great having Dial around. He helps me out with certain things. He's sort of like a little assistant, a helper of sorts.
Dial works directly with Dandy, who is running the shops and, as we know, the I-Core operation. Looking at Dial's rainbow clothing, it also shows his significance in the game. The only other rainbow-wearing people are Arthur, Delilah, and Dandy himself. But there's a lot more to Dial than just what he wears. Other than his role of running the trains, he
Baju mereka
treats his
mirip ya,
fellow teams very
warna-warni.
differently to everyone else.
Honestly, I don't know if I'd consider anyone here even a friend. I consider everyone more of a co-worker, associate. I don't have the luxury of friends.
Anytime you hear the tunes interact with one another, they call each other friends. But Dial is much more calculated.
Iya, jadi Dial tuh bilang kalau dia itu nggak bisa nganggap semua orang yang ada di sini, maksudnya para Toons yang ada di Garden View Center termasuk Dandy itu adalah temannya dia guys. Sedangkan para Toons lainnya itu kan kita kenal banget sebagai sahabat ya. Contohnya ada Sheep, Fruit Cake, antara Spra dan Cosmo. Terus itu ada Sheep, Shrimpo dan Finn kayak gitu, Rage Bait. Nah itu kan mereka itu sahabatan kawan-kawan. Tapi kenapa si Dial ini punya pendapat dia sendiri kalau dia tuh nggak mau nganggap orang-orang atau Toon yang ada di Garden View Center itu sebagai teman dia guys. Nah kenapa kawan-kawan?
He sees them all as co-workers. They work at the Garden View Center.
Dia melihat semua orang yang ada di Garden View Center itu sebagai teman kerja katanya guys, daripada lebih ke teman ya. Oke.
Together. Dial is clearly different from the rest of the Toons, and when exploring his floor, we find out why. First of all, unlike all the other Toon-specific rooms, Dial's floor is pretty bare. Usually, Toon rooms have things that show off their personality. Shelly has dinosaur stuff. V has game show sets. Sprout has a kitchen. But Dial's room looks like an empty warehouse. There's nothing personal in there. The only thing is the posters, and they're all covered in I-Core. And when you enter Dial's secret room, the pieces start to fall together. On the board is a radio transcript between Dial, Delilah, and Arthur.
Oke guys,
I
jadi
hate
kalau
to interrupt this radio channel for childish questions, but I must ask something.
Go ahead, I've got time in between meetings.
When will I take part in the show? Join the others? Hello? Have I lost connection? Have I...
There's no plans of that actually happening, Dial. Why don't you, me, and Delilah sit down tonight, chat on it some?
Now, notice the code next to Dial's name on his room, OA001. We've seen code like this elsewhere in Garden View. Pictures found on some floors.
Begini,
Oke, iklan. So ya kawan-kawan, jadi sepertinya si Dial ini tuh kayak sebuah tune yang
Show the
paling
tunes
mencolok dan
together.
berbeda karakternya daripada tune-tune lainnya yang diciptakan oleh Delilah dan juga Arthur Walton, guys ya. Seperti contohnya di kamar dia itu tuh lebih kayak ke sangat kosong, bahkan tidak mencerminkan kepribadian dia. Contohnya tidak seperti Shelly, guys, yang di mapnya itu kan lebih kayak ada dinosaurusnya karena dia suka dinosaurus. Tapi kalau di Dial ini tuh dia kayak nggak punya apa-apa, kosong, melompong. Jadi kayak, ya, apakah perasaan dia mati atau gimana? Ataukah emang dia tahu kebenaran dari semua ini?
The code L001 and M002 next to them. These codes are based on their roles in the TV show. L001 is Dandy. He
Dandy,
is the lead,
L10.
and M means main. We also see rooms that say SC002, 3, 4, and so on. These
Oke, guys, jadi ternyata ini adalah side character alias jadi ada punya kode-kode ya.
are side characters like Shrimpo, Poppy, and Boxster.
Yang bukan
These
main
assigned names
kodenya
represent their
SC.
role in Dandy's world, but Dial has a very different one.
Oh.
OA. Given
Kodenya Dial itu OA. Oh my god, OA itu apa?
he's the train operator and assists Dandy, this could mean operating assistant,
Operating assistant. Oh, dia mirip dengan kodenya Dandy, guys.
which explains a lot
OA.
about his character. The reason
OA.
Dial's flaw has nothing matching his TV personality is because he doesn't have one. Dial wasn't created based on a tune from the show. Dial was created with the sole purpose of operating the train system and assisting Delilah and Arthur. That's why he calls the tunes co-workers rather than friends, and why there are no posters or cardboard cutouts of him around the center. He was always designed to work the trains and nothing more. But now,
Oke, guys, kenapa Dial itu nggak diciptakan untuk masuk ke dalam TV show, tapi kenapa dia tetap dibuat gitu ya kan, walaupun dia nggak masuk ke dalam TV show? Kira-kira apa, guys, penyebabnya?
Garden View has shut down. Dial could be more than what he was made for, and yet he's not. So far, we've seen the tunes become twisted as they start to exhibit more emotions than the ones their TV show characters do. It's clearly what led to the malfunction incident that caused the Garden View Center to shut down. We believe that Dandy has since been trying to make things right. It was all his fault that they were hidden from the outside world. But thanks to the introduction
Love
of
you,
Dial,
love
we know
you
that
too,
this
Rara.
might not strictly be true. See, when talking to Dial about the other tunes, Dial mentions how he uses the trains to access the outside world to gain supplies.
There is a train that leads outside of Garden View itself. I ensure supplies end up here. Of course, no other tune is allowed on this specific train.
That means there is a way to the outside world, but Dial is the only one allowed on that train. Dial could simply let all the tunes go and be free, but he doesn't do that. Dial is
iya.
a stickler for the rules.
Kalau Dial itu bisa keluar masuk Garden View Center, guys, dengan menggunakan kereta apinya. Lalu pertanyaannya, kenapa Dial ini nggak mau bawa tun-tun tersebut keluar dari penjara Garden View Center? Maksudnya teman-temannya ya kan, kenapa dia nggak mau bawa mereka, guys?
He's been created to follow orders.
Dan
So
dia
if he's
selalu-
told no one is allowed on the train, that
Ya, dia selalu taati peraturan dari Delilah dan juga Arthur Walton kalau nggak ada tun yang boleh masuk kereta api kecuali dia.
is final. This rule would need to come from someone he follows, and right now the only person who fits that description is Dandy. You can actually
Oh my god. Dan satu-satunya tun yang sepertinya dia taati itu adalah Dandy, karena Dandy adalah rekan kerjanya di lobby shop ya kawan-kawan ya.
see this relationship when Dial talks about Dandy.
I hope you're aware. Any earnings I receive from purchases go right
Karena
back
dia pernah
to
bilang gini, guys, setiap penghasilan yang dia dapatkan dari jualan toko ini tuh langsung dikembalikan ke Dandy.
Dandicus. I work alongside him. We're
Karena dia bekerja sama dengannya. Kami adalah rekan dalam
associates in a way. No,
Dalam
I'm
arti
not allowed
tertentu.
to take tips.
There he goes again.
dia nggak dibolehkan untuk menerima tip atau uang, kawan-kawan, atau bonus ya kan.
Saying he's not allowed to do something. Dial isn't allowed to accept any money. It all needs to go to Dandy. As we
Semua
know,
uangnya
the
ke
currency
Dandy.
in the game is iCore, and Dandy needs that for his iCore operation.
Dan mata uang di game itu adalah iCore. Dan berarti Dandy sangat membutuhkan iCore untuk operasi iCore-nya, kawan.
Clearly, he is the one that gave orders to Dial to not accept money. So
Tuh, dia nggak boleh beli pakai tips, kawan.
it's likely that Dandy is also the one who told Dial none of the tunes are allowed on the train.
Dan mungkin saja Dandy juga lah yang memerintahkan Dial kalau nggak ada boleh tune lainnya yang ada di kereta api. Karena takutnya bisa keluar ya kan.
Dandy is the one forcing Dial to continue to work the train, making him treat the tunes like co-workers rather than friends. Dandy is literally continuing in the footsteps of Arthur and Delilah. He's not trying to make amends and help his friends.
Jadi guys, selama ini kita jadi kayak mikir ya, Dandy ini tuh kok padahal dia itu kan juga ciptaan ya guys ya. Sama seperti tuntun lainnya, tapi dia itu makin kesini kok semakin bertingkah mirip dengan penciptanya yaitu Delilah dan juga Arthur Walton. Jadi seperti dia ingin mengendalikan tuntun atau teman-temannya lah ya kan. Dia ingin menjebak teman-temannya untuk tetap stay berada di Garden View Center, nggak boleh keluar. Dan dia juga terus mengumpulkan operasi iCore untuk membuat ciptaan-ciptaan barunya lagi. Something like that guys.
He is trying to keep them trapped inside as if everything is like it always has been before it all went wrong. This is why Dial truly breaks in the end. If you look at Dial's twisted description, it says he's seen the outside. This fact is significant to Dial's breaking point. That's why it's here. Dandy wants to keep everyone in, pretend like things were like they used to be. But Dial is breaking away from what he is meant to do. Help Dandy. Dial wants to set the tunes free, take them to the outside world that he's witnessed. Freedom is within reach. And I know that because if you look around Dial's floor and the iCore-covered posters, a significant word is left untouched. Friend. He was told by Arthur, Delilah, and Dandy that these were just his co-workers. But he wants to have friends. He saw the relationship the other tunes had, and he wanted to be a part of that. And a friend would help to end their suffering by helping them to escape to the wonderful outside world that he'd had the privilege of seeing. But when he gets shut down by Arthur, Delilah, or Dandy, like everyone else, he succumbs to the iCore and becomes yet another threat.
Oke guys, jadi alasan kenapa Dial itu bisa menjadi twister itu ternyata karena dia nggak dibolehkan masuk ke dalam pertunjukan kawan-kawan. Dimana kan kalau dia masuk ke dalam pertunjukan itu kan berarti dia akan mempunyai teman guys. Nah tapi mereka itu nggak bolehin Dial buat masuk ke dalam pertunjukan, which is means Dial ngerasa kesepian dan lagi-lagi ketakutan itulah menjadikan dia berubah menjadi twisted.
These cursed floors. But hey, that's just a theory. A game theory! Thanks for watching. World premiere on Game Theory.
Oh my god! So yeah, oh my god kawan-kawan. Jadi ternyata seperti itu guys teorinya. Oh my god, itu cukup panjang banget videonya guys. Anyway, intinya kawan-kawan, Dial itu sebenarnya bisa dijadikan penyelamat oleh para Toons karena dia satu-satunya Toons yang mempunyai kunci untuk keluar dari Garden View Center. Sementara tetapi dia nggak bisa guys karena dia selalu dipisah-pisahkan oleh kawan-kawannya, para Toons lainnya. Jadi dia nggak pernah ngerasa punya teman, so that's why nggak ada alasan buat bawa para Toons tersebut keluar dari dunia Garden View Center. Dan di sisi lain guys, Dial ini tuh juga, dan di sisi lain guys, si Dandy ini tuh juga lama-lama jadi berubah kayak penciptanya sendiri yaitu Delilah dan Arthur Walton. Kayak mempunyai sifat yang sama gitu guys, ingin memperdayakan Tun-Tun tersebut dan juga ingin tetap mempenjarakan Tun-Tun tersebut berada di dalam Garden View Center selama-lamanya guys. Untuk dia apa? Untuk dia peras iCore-nya guys. So yeah. Jangan lupa beri like di video ini kawan-kawan untuk teori Dandy. Lebih banyak lagi nanti mungkin kita akan lihat di video-video lainnya guys tentang teori Dandy. Ya pokoknya intinya seperti itu ya kawan-kawan ya. Jadi ada dua permasalahan. Dandy berubah menjadi Delilah dan juga Arthur Walton. Mirip seperti mereka berdua penciptanya. Dan yang kedua adalah sebenarnya Dial itu bisa membawa tun-tun tersebut itu keluar dari dunia Dandy guys, karena dia memegang kunci kereta api, tetapi itu nggak akan mungkin terjadi karena Dandy sendiri itu melarang Dial untuk berteman dengan para tun yang ada di game show. Dan ya Delilah juga melarang Dial ya untuk berteman. So that's why guys. So that's why masih banyak keanehan yang ada di game Dandy's World, which is mean kenapa kayak ya, dan juga tentang teori ini guys, tentang teori Toon Holiday seperti apakah benar Gordy mempunyai orang tua, itu juga kita nggak pernah tahu kawan-kawan. Oke, intinya banyak sekali teori complicated di sini yang masih menjadi misteri guys, yang kalau mungkin nggak developernya sendiri yang ceritakan guys, kita mungkin akan sulit untuk menebaknya ya. Tapi sejauh yang kita bisa prediksi dari semua tebak-tebakan yang ada di game Dandysworld itu kurang lebih seperti itu guys. So anyway, jangan lupa beri like di live streaming kali ini kawan-kawan. Dan kalau kalian suka videonya, nanti kita akan lanjutkan di teori Dandysworld lebih banyak lagi. So jahat kali Dandy sama Delilah Kin. That's right guys. Dandy, Delilah Kin, Arthur Walton, 3 orang itu adalah 3 orang yang jahat yang sampai sekarang guys masih kita anggap sebagai penyebab dari kekacauan yang ada di game Dandysworld. So aku sebenarnya juga punya teori sih kawan-kawan tentang Squirm. Kenapa Squirm itu seharusnya tidak menjadi tun kutu buku alias tun kutu buku. Iya kan dia kutu buku ya guys ya. Dia adalah tun yang memakan buku, yang kalau kita sebut sebagai sebagai hewan, dia itu adalah hewan cacing kutu buku ya. Kutu guys ya. Tapi kenapa sih Squirm itu tuh kayak lebih nganggap dirinya itu seperti ulat guys. Ulat yang akan berubah menjadi kepompong dan akhirnya menjadi kupu-kupu daripada kutu buku ya kan. Nah lalu kayak siapa sih sebenarnya yang menciptakan perasaan-perasaan itu kawan? Nah oke guys, itu masih banyak teori-teorinya ya. Jadi banyak tun tuh yang nggak terima sebenarnya guys, kalau mereka diciptakan sebagai yang dikasih kepada Delilah dan juga Arthur. Oke, anyway guys, semakin lama semakin berat ya pembahasannya ya. Mending kita sampai di sini dulu guys. So kawan-kawan, kalau kalian suka dengan videonya, jangan lupa beri like di live streaming kali ini. See you next time on my next live streaming berikutnya. And bye-bye. Bye-bye kawan-kawan.